Our next speaker is Ross Martin, who is the Executive Vice President of Marketing Strategy Engagement for Viacom, where he oversees the company's corporate research, data, and creative strategy teams. Prior to this role, Ross founded Scratch, which is a creative consultancy at Viacom that harnesses all of the deep knowledge that Viacom has about its audiences and content and cultural expertise to build brands, messages, and experiences that resonate. Ross has earned a wide variety of awards and recognition across the media and advertising, media and entertainment industry, including being named a media maven by Advertising Age, and he was also inducted into the Advertising Hall of Achievement. He also has a few other achievements outside of the industry, which include poetry writing and ear wiggling. Please join me in welcoming Ross.
I don't know what happened today, but things just went like woof, because I was here like, where's Ravi? I was here like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was good, but like not, like this is next level shit. Can we have a round of applause? I'm also feeling like incredibly guilty. It's like a Jewish guilt thing. Like I can't possibly give enough. Here's the thing. I'm like taking ideas. I'm borrowing like talent. I mean, there's so much I've learned over the last couple of hours. So I'm kind of riveted by the speakers before me and a little bit intimidated. And the other thing is that, where's Tanmay? Right, there you are. So he goes to school here, and I stole him from you. So I feel guilty about that too. He's coming to work at Viacom in 2 months. So thank you, Yale. So I'm here to recruit. If anybody wants a job at Viacom, that's how you can reach me, or ask Tanmay. He's our representative on campus. The poetry thing is true, and the ear wiggling thing is true. I'll do the ear wiggling for you. Here it is. Ready? Watch my ears. I lost the world record a couple of years ago to a guy in India who crushed my 67 in 30 seconds with like 78 in 30 seconds, so I'm bummed, but I'm working on it. And also the poetry thing, you know, I worshipped Yale for the last 25 years as a writer because you have the Yale Younger Poets Series Award, which I always wanted to win. It's a book award, and one a year gets it, and I applied every year for 10 years, and then I gave up and worked it as a media tool, a corporate media tool, and gave up my dream of winning an award from Yale for poetry. And look at me now, I'm here, and they could just go screw themselves because I fucking made it, all right? Am I allowed to curse? I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. All right, look. We're talking about fans. I feel like what we should do is talk about Yale fans. So here.
You've got to know me by now as the one who dreams of you and being in your Stonewall embrace. I hope you've seen me by now.
So this is her application.
Live together, things were never better, and these high school years will bring me to tears when I've only got one thing on my mind, and it's Yale. You've made me white and blue for you. Yale.
I'm really sorry to say this, but she did not get in. It's such a bummer. What are you doing, Yale? Fans of Yale are one thing. What about fans of kale? You could be a fan of more things than ever before. You can express it in more ways than ever before. And you have more power than ever before as a fan. I want to talk a little bit about that power and what it has the impact, what it can do. Right, so this is not one of our movies, I wish it were, but this little film, which has taken over the world yet again, has characters that people feel not just love and affinity for, but identity formation, and then feel empowered or in some ways motivated to take those characters and bring them into a totally other reality, right? So we can do whatever we want with Chewbacca now. We can do this and make him look like that, or we can take all the stormtroopers and put them at the premiere of the movie. We can do anything we want with these characters. We can take them to Williamsburg or Astoria, and we can bring them into the 21st century. People are doing that with our stuff too at Viacom. And whether it means they're inspired by one of our animated series from the 80s and putting them on the fashion runway in Milan, or demanding that those cartoons that they grew up loving on Nickelodeon come back. And by the way, there's people my age in their 40s who demanded that Nickelodeon bring back things like Ren and Stimpy and forced us to create the splat as a way to sort of like deny your age and live your childhood dream. Fans also have the power to sort of take over what we once thought was ours, right? We would think that the dominion, the control of marketing the MTV Movie Awards would be something we'd get to do. Our fans actually took that over, and here's a tweet by The Rock.
World where MTV announces Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart are hosting this year's MTV Movie Awards and live streaming the promo shoot tomorrow and asking you to write what you want them to say in those promos in the comments below. Dwayne and Kevin are ready. Are you?
Yeah, it's kind of absurd. And then speaking of absurd, so you heard about Zayn Malik. So One Direction, interesting. There was a fan who's obsessed with this band, who created a series of books, fan fiction, about the band. So good that we acquired the rights and we're making a movie about the band, but based on the fan fiction from one of the band's fans, and we're doing that at Paramount. So that's insane. And the last piece I just want to show you is about any fans of Broad City here? Okay, good. I can see most of you guys are fans of 16 and Pregnant and Catfish. I figured we have a few fans of Broad City here. So obsession with Broad City, so much so that people go out and make videos like this. And this one's really long. I'm only going to show you the first piece.
This is the opening scene of season 2 of Broad City. Abby and Alana, the show's creators and best friend protagonists, are just trying to survive a chaotic subway ride.
And the camera kind of stops on these other two women who are standing there with pepper sprayed eyes.
That's Caroline Framke.
I write about culture at Vox. I have watched and analyzed this show to death.
Like many of the best moments in Broad City, the entire scene is super surreal. So the women probably wouldn't stand out to a first-time viewer. But if you watch Broad City religiously like we do, you'll immediately get the joke. You see, those two women are a callback to a moment in the first season when Abby and Alana actually got pepper sprayed. They're wearing the same clothes and have the same devastated looking faces. Alana's doppelganger is even holding the same curtain rod.
That's a callback.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, the level of attention and detail, the absurd amount of studying that's going on around our shows, our content on every single platform. Broad City is one of hundreds of examples where that's happening. Imagine what's happening with shows like Teen Wolf or Scream. Imagine what's happening with a show like SpongeBob or a franchise like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The obsession, the absurdity, and the power of fandom is stronger than ever before. Okay, put that away for a second. Let's talk about brand and let's talk about Viacom. And I'm happy to answer your hardest questions about Viacom and the salacious news every day about our company, except I'm going to run out of time. Oops, I'm not going to take any questions. No, I'll take questions. So this is something that one of my teams worked on over the last 6 to 8 months, and I really want to share it with you. It's a brand position, the first one ever for Viacom. Raise your hand if you know what Viacom stands for. Okay, nobody in our company did either. It's video and audio communications. Isn't that bad? I know, and I run marketing there, and I'm saying it's bad. That's weird. Look, I don't get up in the morning and run to a company called Video and Audio Communications. It's just not what I wanted to do. I didn't sign up. I'd rather go work at Vail Resorts or Spotify if that's what we are. And by the way, I think part of the thing is you guys are super fans of the brands you've seen today, or at least we hope you'll be. So we should be giving you a card. I would call it, instead of a card, the Dard, like Robbie Dar. And the card would be a lifetime subscription to Spotify, all the trips to Vail that you want. a free over-the-top service that doesn't exist from Viacom yet, and all the Johnson's baby powder that you could possibly apply to yourself and your children. Okay, so what's a brand? Here's really, really big consumer brands, mostly consumer brands up here. We heard from Johnson & Johnson earlier today, and I just happened to have this slide. If you're Johnson & Johnson, how do you reconcile all these assets? Right? These are really powerful brands inside a big, gigantic portfolio. How do you tell the story of how they coalesce and how the portfolio has a purpose and an identity? Well, the brand idea, at least as far as I can tell, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, is trust. Now, I showed this slide to the head of Nickelodeon, who said, I don't trust a mother who would leave her baby like that in the bathtub, because it looks like something bad would happen, but I know the mom is right there, you just can't see her. So the brand idea for that portfolio, I would argue, is trust. So what about for Unilever? I mean, Unilever has Dove, which is what it is and how incredible the campaigns have been for Dove and for women. And then it's got Axe, and you're like, whoa, you just undid everything you did. I can relate. We sort of have the same issue with Viacom. So if you're Unilever, like, what's the brand idea? Well, for them, it's purpose. And it goes twofold, right? So these are brands with purpose. They are utility brands that you use in your everyday life. And then it's also a corporate social responsibility move for them. The strategy for Unilever is to reduce its carbon footprint by 2020. And if you work at Unilever, you feel connected to that purpose. It's almost feeling like a purpose-driven org. What about GE? Beth Comstock, Linda Boff, I'm sure you've heard from them. You know, pretty tough to reconcile all the types of products you make if you're General Electric. You make wind turbines, CAT scan machines, light bulbs, and refrigerators, and you lend money, or you used to people. So if you're GE, what's that? Well, the brand idea for GE is, I would argue, and they would agree, I think, innovation. That's what comes to mind, hopefully, in the mind of all of us when you think about General Electric. So if a brand is a signpost, if it occupies a conceptual space in your mind that we can all more or less sort of understand and believe in, what does that mean for a company like Viacom, especially in a moment like this, in an industry like I'm in? Well, Viacom typically shows up in the world through its brands. These are huge, powerful brands. Some of them are 30, 35 years old. They're global. We're in 172 countries. We dominate cable television, more than 20%. We're the largest consumed media company on cable. And more, we're crushing it in digital and in every other way that our consumers pull our content. But if you're Viacom, how do you show up as a portfolio in the world? Well, here's our global headquarters. You're welcome to check it out. Tan May will be working there in 2 months on the 32nd floor. But if you're us and you're in this big, gigantic building, and we just signed a 30-year lease there, you go to work every day and you see the Lion King for some reason on the front of the building. That's not ours. So that's kind of awkward. And then you go to NASDAQ, and we show up sometimes there, and people know us on Wall Street, and they like to talk about us a lot, and we're there. We've got a lot of brands. Half the brands that are on here don't even exist anymore. We got like another 200 that we added instead. How do you sort of become more than the sum of your parts if you're a big, gigantic global media company? Now, we have a pretty amazing operating system. It's being evolved. That's a nice way to say it. We're in the midst of a massive transition in our industry, and especially at Viacom, we were the first to go through this. We have a powerful operating system. It generates billions and billions of dollars a year. But the one thing we never had at Viacom was an operating system and a belief system. Never had it. What if we could deliver a clarity of purpose that would unite, inspire, and catalyze the power and the potential of our portfolio at Viacom? That was our challenge, and why would we do this? Well, first, to articulate our purpose and align our priorities internally. Second, to provide a really super clear path through a rapidly evolving media landscape. Third, rally our creativity and our innovation, which is our lifeblood. And last but not least, elevate the power and the performance of our whole portfolio in the process. What is a brand idea? Well, it's got to be big, it's got to be simple, it's got to be true, and it's got to be useful. When I brought this to Philippe, my boss, our CEO, He looked at the first 4 letters going down, and he goes, so basically what you're saying is this is BS to you. I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't going so well. So eventually he was like, I get it. And I'll get to that slide in a second, because the I get it slide is duh, right? Like by the time you get to the I get it slide here, you should already know the answer, and it should be relatively obvious. To help it become obvious, here's the framework that we used at Viacom to get here. And this is new. You're the first people to see it that don't work in the company. First, a product insight, then a competitive insight, a cultural insight, and finally, maybe most importantly, the consumer insight. I'll walk you through it. So we make content, right? At Viacom, people say that all the time. Our channels make content. I think we do a lot more than that. I think SpongeBob is more than a piece of content. I think it's more than a TV show. I think it's much more than a consumer product. SpongeBob's become a part of people's lives everywhere people live. And it shows up in the most intense, incredible places, like the runway in Milan. RuPaul sometimes says stuff that people don't just believe, they tattoo on their backs. Did you know that? People tattoo what RuPaul says on their bodies. People love Abby and Alana so much from Broad City that they go on Etsy and sell votive candles that they've created with their image. And I got in trouble with religious groups for this slide. What we do at Viacom, what we do at our brands, at our media networks, is more than content. We create experiences. The competitive insight. Our traditional competitors, and we have a lot of them, try to appeal to all of us, while our new media competitors try to appeal to each of us. Viacom is in a very unique position. We have a bunch of pure demos and niche audiences that our channels target specifically and attempt to super serve. So if you're Viacom, you're doing both. If you're Viacom, you've got to go big, but you've also got to go deep. And that puts us in a pretty unique position. More than scale, depth. The cultural insight. So it turns out there's more content than ever before. We're completely overwhelmed. You hear that in every presentation. The other problem is there's still only 24 hours in a day. We have not been able to change that either. What breaks through, right? How do people find the signal in the noise? Did any of you, no one was probably there, but maybe you heard about what Kanye West did on the stage at the VMAs last year? Unbelievable. I'm standing next to like 5 CMOs who have sponsored the thing. And on my other side is our head of sales, Jeff Lucas. And we're all around the monitor as about 15 feet away, Kanye West is on the main stage in the middle of the live VMAs in over 100 million homes, and wouldn't get off the stage for 22 and a half minutes. And what did he do? He shat on the idea of an award show for music. At an award show for music. The award show for music. And we were looking at each other like, what do we do? Does somebody run on stage and stop him? Do we cut to a commercial for Twix? Like, what do we do? And we did what we were supposed to do. We let it go. Because it was pure emotion. And that's what we want. The opposite of love is not hate. Believe me, he had love and he had hate. The opposite of love is indifference, not caring, not noticing, moving on, changing the channel. What we created that night, or I should say what Kanye created that night, was much more than noise. It was emotion. You loved it or you hated it. You love him or you hate him. As long as you feel one of those two things, I'm cool with it. If you don't, we're not doing our job. Last but not least, the consumer insight. So technology, obviously empowering consumers like never before. When Ravi was a child, he had to get up and turn the channel manually. Things have changed. Ravi, you don't have to do that anymore. You could upgrade a little bit. We have cable providers who offer the interface that they do. That's gotten a lot better if you look at what Hulu and Netflix have been able to do to help you find what you will love as a fan. And because of the new technology that we see from Apple, for example, you can just say what you want, and it'll be delivered to you. And pretty soon, you'll be able to think what you want. It will be delivered to you. I think Spotify is working on that. What this means for our fans is that we're moving from passive audiences who are receiving content to active fans who are using it. There's an incredible Comedy Central study from 2 years ago on the new fandom, and it talks about how fans don't just consume content, they use it. We're moving from selling impressions to selling engagement. And we're moving from viewers to fans. So the consumer insight here is what we do at our best is cultivate more than viewers. We develop fans. So more than content, experiences, more than scale, depth, more than noise, emotion, and more than viewers, fans. Where does that leave us in the giant Viacom constellation? You get it, because the stars, constellation. So where does that leave us? Here's the duh. At its best, Viacom is a portfolio of fans-first brands. That's who we are. That's our belief system. If we don't live up to that every day, we will go away. So when you're a fans-first company, and when you present that kind of belief system to an org the size and age of the one I work at, it has the ability to inspire the entire org, to inform and excite everybody in the company who is a part of the operating system. So if you're a fans-first company, how do you act? If you're a fans-first company, you find your fans wherever they are, and you surprise and you delight them. If you're a fans-first company, we've been hearing about data all day long. Thank God I don't have to talk about it today because I talk about it every day. But if you're a fans-first company, you obsess. You must understand your fans better than anybody else in the world. If you're a fans-first company, then you create content that is worthy of your fans. And nothing short of that will do. If you're a fans-first company, you create mind-blowing experiences for your fans. This is the BET experience, which you should go to. If you haven't, it's 4 days in LA coming up this summer. If you're a fans-first company, you learn from people like Taylor Swift that no matter how big and successful you get, every single day you must go out and earn their hearts again. She does this every day, and each time in a different and credible way. This is the sales slide for the sales teams. I usually take it out, but I left it in. If you're a fans-first company, you bring fan-worthy brands into that experience with you. This is the sort of secret gem at Paramount. Paramount's 100 years old. I bet you didn't know, but now you do. You can go to Paramount and have a private tour of the backlot of the studio. And it's a way of unlocking magic you didn't even really know was there. And I'm not just talking about films like The Godfather. I'm talking about everything we've ever done in that studio, which is just filled with stuff you would never believe, and it puts fans in the center of the movie-making experience, which is what we need to do as a fans-first company. If you're a fans-first company and we're celebrating our 20th year of this corporate social responsibility campaign inside our company for our employees via community, you can empower fans and employees to change the world right around them. And probably most important of all, if you're a fans-first company, it means that you're filled with fans. These are colleagues of mine from London who won the lip sync battle contest inside our company. I don't know if you ever watched Lip Sync Battle on Spike. It's an incredible hit show. It's super fun. And we held a competition for 9,000 people. And these guys, I'm proud to say, were victorious. This is the beginning of the external expression of the campaign. when you're a marketer like us and you introduce to a company that's never had one its first belief system, people get excited, and you have an opportunity to express that both inside the company and outside the company. And so this is a trade campaign that just launched. Carmelo Anthony is one of our biggest fans. He's a huge fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he wanted to be in the campaign. Amy Schumer, incredible. I'm sure we have some Amy Schumer fans today. So this is one of the super fans who we gave an incredible experience to. This is the first time we've taken our fans and actually put them in the context of what they love most. Speaking of, I'm going to tell you something that please don't tweet this little piece because it's going to happen in about like 3 hours, and then you'll see it and you'll go, I knew. But don't tweet this. Promise? Everybody promise? Okay, thank you. We're announcing today that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who are about to go on the road to promote their film, which comes out in the first week of June. Since they're going to be traveling, they're not going to be able to use their lair in New York City, and they've decided to put the lair up on Airbnb. So in a few hours, if you have like an 8-year-old that would go like, what? Go to Airbnb and look and see if you can be one of the first to book it. It'll be up for a month. You can only book one night. It's $250. And the money goes to an anti-bullying campaign that the Turtles are supporting. That's a fan's first idea. That's putting something that fans love up on the screen on the wall or on their mom's iPad or their dad's phone and making it someplace they can go and experience for themselves and sleep over. It sleeps 8, and we deliver pizza every day. So it's kind of awesome. And I showed you the lip sync battle. These are 2 more freaks that I work with who did lip sync battle, and they're huge fans. How awesome is it when the people you work with are fans of the stuff that you and they make? That makes you want to go to work. I'm going to sort of pressure test the idea of fans first. So the most exciting group to work with on this belief system rollout, honestly, has been BALA. BALA stands for Business and Legal Affairs. The people who have shut my ass down for 12 years on things, the people who have bailed me out at spring break when I got in trouble, the people who get a bad rap because everybody thinks that they're all about saying no. Truth is, all they really want to do in BALA is say yes. And Fans First gives them a way to try to say yes. It's an incredible thing. Every week, dozens of people that we do not know who are from places I haven't even heard of email a random Viacom website. I just discovered this 2 months ago. And these random emails come in, like they're like unidentified flying emails from people who say, I love Teen Wolf so much. One of the characters was wearing a t-shirt. How do I get that t-shirt? And like, you know, again, we're in a gigantic organization. And when that comes into corporate's like, and it goes to one guy named Jeremy Zweig. Poor Jeremy Zweig on the 53rd floor of the company sits there, and these emails just come, and that's not even his job, right? Talk about customer service. He's not a customer, so he's a corporate communications guy. And he gets these emails, and he has to try to figure out one by one, like, what do I do with that? And usually it goes to somebody who finds it related to somebody, and then it eventually ends up at BALA. And a lawyer at BALA has to go, yeah, we can't let them do that. Or no. Right? And so what our business and legal affairs team has been working on is, how can we possibly say yes? And if we can't say yes, what's the best way to say no? So this time, we took a request, and it's a bizarre one. It's a couple, I forgot where they live, I think Midwest, who the groom loves the Turtles. Like, he's in his 30s and he never stopped loving the Turtles, which is like a reason to not marry him, but that's fine. So the guy loves the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And his wife's like, yeah, it's cool, it's fine. So he emails Viacom, this random website, and it goes to Jeremy Zweig, who happened to call me and go, hey, you said you were looking for, fan requests. Like, I think I got one. And this is something we would normally never really be able to figure out how to do because it's like such a one-off and it's kind of random. But this guy loves the Turtles, and he's getting married in 6 months, and he wants to use the Turtles as the theme of his wedding. And so he asked for permission to use the image of the turtles on his cufflinks for the wedding. I'm like, why did he ask? Like, why would you ask? Okay, he asked. So we called the guy up and we said, hey, look, you love the turtles, we love you, you're awesome. What if we said, yeah, and we'll bring a camera and we'll help film your wedding? And oh my God, he said yes, and this is what happened. Can you hit play for me? Thank you.
I've been a fan of the Ninja Turtles for as long as I can remember, and it's something I hold dear.
Sean came and approached me about having the Ninja Turtles incorporated into our wedding.
That's adorable.
We were looking for something to kind of set the wedding apart, just do something a little bit different. I emailed Viacom.
He came to me one night after work and said, I heard from Viacom. He was so happy.
Sean and Jeanette, congratulations on your wedding from all of us at Viacom. Sean, enjoy these bodacious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cufflinks and ties. We're so glad we could be a part of your big day. I can't believe how lucky I am that this actually happened. You guys definitely came through. That stuff is amazing.
I'm happy. I'm so excited.
To be a fan of something, it's not something that ever goes away. It's not a fad. It's something that you're going to take with you forever.
Thank you, Viacom, for coming down and sharing our special day and providing everything for our groomsmen and for my husband.
Yay. It's a truly heartwarming story, and clearly they have a bright future ahead of them. I want to thank you guys very much for the time and answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
This was great. Thanks for this. Quick question. I'm not sure at what point you really embraced the purpose and the fans first mentality. What were some of the challenges with getting the whole organization to buy into that? So the people who are developing content, it's much more front of mind, but the people who are either completely separate from the content and just, support the team, or a little bit farther from the actual fan, how do you get them to buy into this purpose?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. Because, look, I had never done anything like this in my life. The idea of even having a belief system wasn't even something, I didn't know those words. The CMO of Spotify, Seth Farbman, is the one who taught me those words. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. And the first thing that we realized was this would never work if it were pushed into the org, right? Especially if it came from top down. So yes, of course, had to make sure that our presidents and our CEO understood, embraced, and championed the cause. But then that was fine, but that was wonderful. But then it had to come back up through the whole org. And that's not something that you can push or program into your culture. It's something that has to happen really organically and very carefully. And the first thing to do was to realize that no matter how big our egos are, no matter how proud we are of building this thing that I just got to show you, and by the way, there's a team of 8 people that worked on this to develop it, not me, that this is so much bigger than me and so much bigger than the team that created it. And it's like a poem, right? You write a poem and you publish it. Not at Yale, obviously, because they didn't want to publish it. But you publish your book or your poem in a magazine, and guess what? It's not yours anymore. And so the first thing was letting go. It was really tough to say that, hey, here's this thing I'm giving to the org. There can be immediate tissue rejection. People can hate it and go like, I'll never want to do that. Or they'll find a way, they'll fall in love with it in their own way. They'll pull it into their part of the org and they'll express it how they express it. And the reason I gave you the example of BALA, the Business and Legal Affairs Department, is that they were the ones I was most worried about because they have the biggest challenge on the front line, right? They're protecting our company's intellectual property. I'll give you an example of something that just happened in another company. It's totally inspiring to me. One of my neighbors in Brooklyn, during Superstorm Jonas, which snowed us all in, went into his backyard and built an igloo. And then he posted it on Airbnb. It was awesome. And I have the image somewhere. I know it's like the end of my slide. Doesn't matter. But he posted on Airbnb. Now, if you're Airbnb, you're like, okay, you know what? We actually can't let people do that, right? That can't happen on our platform. It's not okay. It's not part of the guidelines. But then you have a problem if you're the lawyer because you have to say no, but you don't know how to say no, and you know the idea is so great, and no matter what you do, it's going to go viral. The lawyer that wrote the no was so brilliant. What he wrote was, "Dear so-and-so Brooklyn hipster, your idea is incredible. Your igloo is clearly dripping with hipster credibility. We love it so much, we want to hang out with you. As you probably guessed, we can't let this exact thing happen on the platform. Here's $200. Go find any place you want to stay. We'll pay for it. And we want to hang out with you more and talk to you because obviously you have great ideas." That went viral. And it was an expression of the tone and the character and the brand of Airbnb. One that earned them fans, you know, they never had before. I think we might be out of time for questions, but we have one more maybe? Or you guys tell me. I'm all that stands between you and lunch. So if you're hungry, we can go. You got one more question? No? I hope you have a wonderful lunch. Thank you for having me.